Today we're going to cover the skeletal system. We're going to start off by talking about the histology. And in order to do that, we first need to look at a bone. So this would be like a femur, which is a type of long bone. And when you take a look at a type of long bone, you would see that when you crack it in half, you would see that there is red marrow here, which is not visible from this diagram, but that's where it'd be. It'd be right on the edge, and that's where your red blood cells and white blood cells are produced. You also have yellow marrow, which only produces white blood cells in a small number of them. Compact bone, which is right here along the outside, which is a small portion. Most of your bone is actually spongy. So this is a spongy bone, a lot of space. So we're going to take a look. We're going to pretend like we're taking a cut right here, like a little box, and we're going to take a look at that. When we take a look at that, this is what it would look like actually in the microscope. You guys have all seen that. And you're going to see that it makes this spiral shape. So we're looking mostly at the compact bone. But really, if you take a look, these are your osteocytes. Okay, so you can see your osteocytes. You can see the caniculi as well. So that's what those are. The osteon would be this circular structure that's being pulled out. Normally it wouldn't be that way. And this diagram would be right here. So this would be your osteon, this whole structure. You have to have a space for blood vessels to go through because it's so compact. As you see in spongy, you don't need it. It just goes right through the holes. Your nerve, red blood cell, your artery and vein would just go right through the holes. But in compact bone, you need a Haversian canal, which is the one right here, and your Volkmann's canal, which is perforating, which is right through here. So let's go ahead and move on. So we're going to start really microscopic first and kind of just make sure in a diagram you have spongy versus compact bone. And now we're going to take a look at the osteocytes. So you have your osteocytes, which are mature bone cells. They're in these little chambers called lacunas. In each lacuna, you have an osteocyte, and they're all connected by these little channels, the canals, called caniculi. Canal is actually in the word, so that makes it easy. That allows osteocytes to communicate and transport nutrients to each other. So these structures would be like on a very microscopic level, talking about cells. So in this picture, I have it here. You have the caniculi, the osteocyte in the middle, and the lacuna. So more dense with pattern compact bone, you have all these osteons in the middle. I already talked about this, but you have your Haversian canal. It carries your blood vessel and nerves. And then the perforating horizontal would be your Volkmann's canal. And I'll kind of go back to this diagram here. I didn't label it, but you have your osteon here. This is called a periosteum. If you don't remember that, that's just the outside of a bone. It's actually really nutritious. You also have, this will be like your Haversian canal. Your Volkmann's canal would be 6. 7 and 8 would be blood vessels. Specifically, red would be the artery or arterial, and blue would be the veneal. And then this would be your nerve right here, the yellow. Okay, so the last thing that we just really need to go to in bones is knowing the difference between appendicular and axial. Axial would be the cranium, all the vertebrae, all the way down to including the sacrum and coccyx. That's very, very important. And the rib cage. So you also would have your sternum and your ribs. So everything that's in green would be part of the axial. Appendicular would be the yellow. And I really like this picture because you can see it's the clavicle and your scapula, which is like your back, like your shoulder, all the way down. So you'd have your humerus, radius ulna, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges. You'd have your pelvic girdle, excluding the sacrum and coccyx, the femur, tibia, fibula, tarsals, metatarsals, and phalanges. So just knowing, I think there'll be a question that you identify a bone, but also there'll be a question where you just have to know the difference between appendicular and axial. Okay, that's all for bones, and you'll do a couple of activities in your quiz before moving on.